Hi there. So I've decided that I want to do a series where I do short reviews of all of the releases from Guided by Voices, as they're one of my favorite bands of all time, and yet because they're so prolific, they actually have quite a few records that I've never listened to before. So this is going to be a way for me to revisit an old favorite of mine, as well as listen to some of those records I haven't heard yet. So with that out of the way, here is a brief bio of the band. Guided by Voices is a rock band from Dayton, Ohio. The band has had a constantly shifting lineup throughout the years. The only consistent member the entire time has been frontman, songwriter, singer Robert Pollard, right here in the photo. Um, Pollard is kind of a pretty normal Ohio guy. Grew up, played sports in high school and college. He went on to become a school teacher. He taught fourth grade for about 14 years. Married, kids, living a very normal life. And then his outlet was writing songs and getting together with his buddies in the basement and drinking beer and listening to obscure rock records. Guided by Voices for a long time was sort of a passion project of Bob's. They originally formed in 1983, and they very rarely played live. They basically had no following outside of their hometown, and they sort of languished in obscurity for a decade. It was largely a band where Pollard's obsession with writing songs and designing album covers sort of drove his obsession to keep pressing records that really nobody was buying and nobody was particularly caring about. But then something kind of weird happened, and in the 90s, GBP kind of blew up. They became indie darlings. They signed to some bigger indie labels, first Scat and then later Matador, and they essentially became the most iconic lo-fi band of all time. And what's actually weird about that is that they were actually all approaching middle age when this happened. So Bob eventually quit his job teaching fourth graders, and ever since he has been making music full time. Guided by Voices are one of the iconic stories about somebody getting their break slightly later in life. It's one of the most fascinating things about the band to me. There's so much material from them that they recorded just assuming that they had no audience and that nobody would ever listen to it. And so much of the early material is just weird and intimate and vulnerable and sometimes downright strange. But Robert Pollard, stubbornly refusing to give up on his goofy rock star dreams, accidentally became a rock star. So if you want to hear me review all the Guided by Voices records, subscribe so you can get my next video, which will be on their first EP, Forever Since Breakfast. If you've never listened to Guided by Voices, listen to B1000, Propeller, Alien Lanes. That's how to start. Okay, video's going to run out now.